Hi guys, welcome back and thank you for your continuous support and love that I am personally receiving. In this video I am going to discuss about motion block and the commands in this. So one by one we will discuss each and every command and try to understand the usefulness of them. So let's begin. The first command given here is move. So move command allows this sprite to move certain number of steps as defined over here. So if I type any number of steps, it will start moving that many number of steps. Once I typed, I need to just click on this command and my sprite will take that many number of steps. Now the value that we are providing here is always considered in terms of pixels. So that means if I am putting my sprite somewhere and changing this value, let's say 50, so that means I am asking my sprite to cover 50 pixels on this stage area. So I'll click on it and it will cover 50 pixels. So that's how the move command works. So move command allows the sprite to move certain number of steps in the direction whichever it is pointing to. So maybe if the sprite is pointing towards left hand side, it will start moving towards left 50 steps or whatever number of steps are specified. Then the next is turn. So turn clockwise and turn anti-clockwise. We have two different kind of turns. So if I'll take this turn clockwise and change the value of this, let's say maybe 90, so it will take a 90 degree of clockwise turn. Once I have typed the value, I need to just click on it. Once I'll click on it, it will take a turn of 90 degree clockwise. I'll click once more, another 90 degree, once more, another 90 degree, once more, another 90 degree. So each time I'll click on this turn command, it will allow the sprite to take a turn clockwise on whatever number of angle we have specified over here. The third one is the turn anti-clockwise. So similar to that clockwise turn, it also allows the sprite to take an anti-clockwise turn. We need to just specify the value in which direction or at what angle I want my sprite to take the turn, and once I'll click on it and the sprite will take that turn in anti-clockwise direction. So this is how this clockwise and anti-clockwise turn works. Now if I want to go back, I will just click once more and once more to make it in the correct position. Now the fourth one is point in direction. So point in direction allows the sprite to point into any of the direction across this stage. So there could be four directions, that is up, down, right and left, and all those four directions we can choose from this drop down list. So once I'll click on this drop down list, I can see 90 stands for right, -90 for left, 0 for up and 180 for down. So suppose if I've chosen, let's say 180, so it will start pointing towards down. Now if I'll choose 0, so it will start pointing towards up. If I'll choose -90, it will start pointing towards left, and if I'll choose 90, it will start pointing towards right. So that's how I can specify that in which direction I want my sprite to point to. The next one is point towards. So point towards is, unlike this point in direction, it specifies some specific direction, that is up, down, left or right. And then in case of point towards, I can make sure that my mouse or maybe the sprite is pointing towards the mouse pointer or maybe to some other object specified here on this stage. So I can have multiple sprites as well. Let's take an example. If I'll click on this sprite and insert another sprite, yeah, so we have got two sprites now. Right now this cat is being selected as a sprite. So if I'll click now here on this drop down list, I can see earlier it was only mouse pointer, but now we have mouse pointer as well as the other object name as well, which is present on the stage, that is a baseball. So if I want my sprite to point towards my mouse pointer, or maybe the baseball. I'll select the baseball, I'll click on it, the sprite will start pointing towards the baseball. Or else if I'll select this mouse pointer and click on it, the sprite will start pointing towards my mouse pointer. So it could be whatever number of objects will be there present on the stage, a list of all those objects will be keep on adding to this drop down list. So I can insert various sprites here on the stage, and once I'll choose this, I can see again that balloon 1 is also added into the list. So whatever number of sprite we will be having, each time we will insert a new object on the stage, we will find the name of that item into this drop down list. I'm just deleting all these extra sprites to make it clear. Then the next one is to go to. So go to XY allows me to make my sprite or to reach my sprite to some specified axis or the point over here on the stage. I already have discussed about the total coordinates of this stage area, that is 240, 180. So 240 towards x-axis, 180 towards y-axis. So wherever I want, let's say if I want my sprite here somewhere, so I can see that this sprite, that the axis for this position is minus 178, 175. Now how can I identify the axis of any particular position here on this stage? So this XY belongs to the position of my mouse pointer, whereas this XY given over here on the right top belongs to the position of the current position of this sprite. So wherever my mouse pointer is, I can see this XY keep on changing as per the movement of the mouse. So if I want my sprite here on this position, I can see the axis is minus 175, minus 114. So let's take it as a round of value, minus 175 and 110. So if I will specify that minus 175 as x value and then 114 was that value. So once I have typed those x and y coordinates and I'll click on this go to xy, I will find my sprite at that position. If I want my sprite to be at the center of this stage, I can just click again on the x, set as 0, type y as 0, and once I'll click on this, I'll find my sprite in the center of this stage. So whatever are the coordinates, present coordinates of this sprite, I can see here. So I can choose any of the value, let's say 100, then minus 100, and once I'm done, I'll click on it, I'll see my sprite moved at minus 100 and minus 100, the same reflecting here as well. Now done. So again I can have go to. So same as point in direction and point towards, we have go to and go to other object, go to xy coordinates or maybe go to some other object. So if I'll see here again clicking on this drop down list, I can see only mouse pointer just now. But if I will add some other object here, maybe an apple, then putting it somewhere on the stage area, and then once I'll go back to this script of a sprite, I can just see in this drop down list that mouse pointer is there and apple is also being shared there. So as many number of items I will keep on adding to this stage, that will those items will be added into this list. So if I want my sprite directly go to this apple, instead of providing the coordinates, I can select that as well. I'll say choose this go to, click on this drop down list, select apple, and once I'll click on it, I can see that the sprite directly moved to the apple. Or else the other option is to move the sprite towards my mouse pointer. So if I'll choose that mouse pointer and once I'll click on it, I can see that my sprite moved towards my mouse pointer without leaving the stage. So we need to understand that this sprite works only inside the stage area, and in any circumstances these sprites will not leave its stage. So wherever my mouse pointer is, it will directly move to the location of that mouse pointer, the coordinates of that mouse pointer that we can see at any point of time at the bottom of the stage, right bottom of the stage, that is here. So if I'll put it over here, I can see that is 240, 125 was the coordinate of my mouse pointer, and same reflecting here on the right top, 240, 124. Fine. So this is go to mouse pointer. Then next is glide. So as we know that this motion block is all related to the movement of this sprite. Till now we have moved this sprite using move command, using go to some object. Now, but in all these cases what I have seen, what we have observed is that my sprite was always displacing itself from one to another position, but we were not able to see it moving actually. Now this glide option allows me to see the sprite moving from one location to some other specific position. Like right now the current position being specified here is 240, 124. So if I'll just put my sprite over here and click on this glide command, I can see that sprite moving to that position. Let's say if I want my sprite from here to go this position. Now this position, if I'll identify, it is minus 173, 130. So if I'll type it as minus 173, 130 and I'll click on this, I can see the sprite going or moving from the position to the specified position. Now the other constraint given over here is the time. The time amount specifies the speed of this sprite. Higher the time amount, slower the speed is the key point. So if I'll increase this time amount, let's say 5 seconds, and then if I'll put it here, I can see that sprite is still moving but in a slow motion. So this time constraint is about the speed of the movement of a sprite. So higher the time amount, slower the speed. Lesser the time amount, higher the speed. This is the principle how this glide works. Now moving next is to change X. Now this is something which changes the coordinate of sprite's X axis. So if I'll see, the current X value of a sprite is minus 173, or let's keep it somewhere else initially. So right now if it's on, let's say X is 5, so if I'll click on this change X by 10, that will change the X axis by 10. So that means it is going to change X as 15. So if I'll click on this, I will see X changed by 10, that means it changed to 15. Again I'll click, it will change to 25, another click 35, another click 45. I can change this value as well. If I'll change it to, let's say 100, so from 45 it will directly go to 145. I will click on it, will go to X as directly 145. Then next is set X. So set X is to set the value of X coordinate. So if I'll right now, if I can see, it is mentioned as 0 here. So if I'll click on it, I can see my sprite directly moved to X0 coordinate. That is that again I can change to any other specific required coordinate if I want. So if I want my sprite at X as 10 coordinate, I can type that value, will click on that, and I can see that X coordinate is 10. Similarly, change Y by 10 and set Y by 10 works in the same manner as change X by 10 and Y set X by 10. So if I want to change the value of Y coordinate, I can see the current Y coordinate is 20. if I'll type it as 100, it will change from 20 to 120. I'll click on it, it will directly go to y coordinate as 120. Again, if I want it to be back at center of this stage in terms of y coordinate, I'll click here, it will be at the center. Here again, I'll type it as 0, it will go to the center of the stage since x and y both are 0. So that's how this change and set works on this. Now if on edge bounds, so these 4 boundaries of the stage we can see are the edges of the stage. At any point of time, if I am making this glide and we know the coordinate, the rightmost coordinate is 240, the leftmost is minus 240, the topmost is 180 and bottommost is minus 180. So let's say if I have typed x as 240 and y remains 0, and I'll click on it, it will move in 1 second from its 0 0 to 240 0. I'll click on it, it will move to 240 0. The only thing that I can observe is that it has moved from that position to 0 0, but my half of the sprite is hidden now. So to avoid such a situation, I can use the next command given over here, that is if on edge bounds. So if on edge bounds allows the sprite that if it is touching the edge of the stage, it should bounce back into the stage area. So if I'll attach this if on edge bounds command next to this glide, and then I'll keep this sprite anywhere on the stage, and once I'll click on it, I can see that this time it again moved from its position to 240 0. It has touched the edge same as earlier, but this time it has bounced back to the stage, inside the stage. Now what we observed is that this sprite took a turn which was not expected actually. So there is another command which specifies the rotation style. Now there are 3 different rotation styles, that is left to right, don't rotate and all around. So left right allows the sprite to take a left or a right turn accordingly to the position or point direction it is moving to. So if it is moving from left to right, it will take a turn towards left. If it is moving from right to left, it will take a turn towards right. Don't rotate means I don't want my sprite to rotate once it's bounce, and all around means it is free to rotate at any direction. So by default it is always set as all around. Now if I'll make again this sprite to look towards 90, put it somewhere, and will set this rotation style as don't rotate and attach it to the previous command sequence, and then once I'll click on it, I can see the sprite going to 240 0 in 1 second, touching the edge, so it's bouncing back to stage, and since the rotation style is don't rotate, hence it is moving back but it is not rotating to at any angle. If I change this rotation angle from don't rotate to left right, and then again I will put this sprite somewhere, click on this command sequence, I can see that yes, this time it has moved in 1 second to 240 0. It touched the edge, bounced back and took a rotation to left right. So in left right, since it was moving from right to left, it took a right turn or started pointing towards left. So that's how this if on edge and set rotation style works. Now at the bottom I can see there are 3 options: X position, Y position and directions given there, opposite to which there are check boxes. So if I'll check on these boxes, I can find the current sprite position in terms of x-axis or maybe the y-axis, or maybe the direction, that in which direction it is pointing to. So all these values can be shown here on the stage itself. If I don't want, I can just uncheck them, not to see them. So thank you guys. I hope you understood this motion block. At any point of time, if you feel discussing something you don't find comfortable enough to understand, you can write us your queries at exact.solutioning@gmail.com. Thank you, and next video we will be going back to other blocks of this Scratch and we'll understand how do they work. Thank you. Have a great day ahead.